Government of India has decided to ban 118 Chinese mobile applications, including Pubg, amid growing border tensions with China. The ban on Pubg has been in the offing ever since India banned 59 Chinese apps in June. Many experts had predicted that Pubg would be next in line to be banned. The government was reviewing close to 275 Chinese applications over reports of data sharing with the Chinese communist regime. The ban comes as a huge blow to Pubg, which has generated over 175 million installs in India. India is by far the largest market for Pubg. While the app is owned and operated by a South Korean company, the Chinese conglomerate Tencent has significant holdings in it. In fact, Pubg's distribution in India is handled by Tencent Holdings. Joining us on this broadcast is WION's principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibbal, with all the details on this breaking news update. Siddhant, over to you. Indian government had earlier also banned close to 60 applications over data theft and national security issues. Can you give us details about this latest list of apps that have been banned by the Indian government?
Well, Shobhi, it's a big move because the Indian government had in the past banned 59 apps and then, of course, 47 clones of those initially banned apps, the 59 apps, and now 118 apps being banned, the Chinese apps being banned. This, of course, is the biggest group of apps being banned, but largely what the Indian government has stated in its press release, which has come out from the Indian IT Ministry, is that they are prejudicial to the sovereignty of the country, and it's coming just days after we saw how the Chinese tried to occupy the southern bank of the Pangong Lake. This was, of course, thwarted by the Indian army. In fact, since then, conversations have been happening. The Indian and the Chinese military have been talking today as well, but there hasn't been any outcome from the conversation, and now this move has come. So clearly, what the thought process is to make sure that the Chinese suffer. There are punitive action measures by the Indian government in several sectors. So if we look at the tech space, we have seen apps being banned. Now, of course, the entire list is more than 200 apps, Chinese apps being banned by India. But other than the tech space, it is the investment space. We know the Chinese investment will face more scrutiny. That means more trouble for any Chinese investor to invest here in India, which, of course, is a negative news for any Chinese investor, given the fact that the Indian economy is a pretty large economy, and it's just not the investment sector. There is scrutiny when it comes to the coal sector, the mining sector. So by and large, for perhaps a minor tactical gain in Ladakh, the Chinese have lost India in a multiple manner, in a sense, when it comes to the economy and, of course, the tech space as well. But by and large, it's a very bad news for the Chinese investors who perhaps wanted to plan or invest in India, especially when it comes to the startup sector. But the big question is what next at the LAC, at the line of actual control, especially when it comes to Pangong. That is the big question. But if you look at the aggressive statement coming from China, this, of course, is raising eyebrows, because it looks like the Chinese are clearly stating that they're not going to back down. And there's a window of just 30 days left now before winters come in that part, and that is a pretty harsh winter. So if you look at the situation on the ground, so 30 days for both sides to decide or come out with an outcome before there will be a stalemate for next 6 months. So by and large, both at the military level and at the diplomatic level, conversations are happening. In fact, the Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh is in Moscow for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Defense Ministers meeting. The next week we'll see the Indian Foreign Minister going to Moscow for Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Foreign Ministers meeting. What is interesting is that the Chinese counterpart will be present. As of now, there is no scheduled meeting between their counterparts. But the big question is, will Moscow in certain way help to ease out the situation, or situation remains like this?
Siddhant, thank you so much for joining us with that comprehensive report. But just for the benefit of our viewers, I'd like to read out a paragraph from the government press release, and it's a very strongly worded statement that the government has given. It says the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has received many complaints from various sources, including several reports about misuse of some mobile apps available on Android and iOS platforms for stealing and transmitting users' data in an unauthorized manner to servers which have locations outside India. The compilation of these data, its mining and profiling by elements hostile to national security and defense of India, which ultimately impinges upon the sovereignty and integrity of India, is a matter of very deep and immediate concern, which requires emergency measures. So concerns continue over these Chinese apps sharing data with not only the Chinese Communist government, but also harming user privacy and national security.